Hello everyone and welcome back to Click Theory 2.0. In the past couple of videos, we've been taking a look at placing the metronome on different parts of the beat while exploring playing different rhythmic combinations against the metronome to see how they relate to each other. And we did that on both the snare drum and on the drum set. So hopefully by now you're starting to get a little bit more comfortable playing these various exercises and you're starting to feel the composite rhythms that are being created by what you're playing and what the metronome is doing. Now, if you're not so comfortable yet, don't get discouraged. Remember that this system is designed to be incorporated into your practice routine gradually. So it's okay to take your time with these various exercises until these concepts become a little bit more familiar to you. Now, when you are more comfortable, it's time to take things to the next level. Now, so far we've been looking at what I call the basic metronome settings, which if you haven't figured out by now is merely taking the pulse of the downbeat and displacing that to other parts of the beat. And now what we're going to do is we're going to expand the metronome beyond the tempo that we're playing in, and we're going to generate a new pulse within the subdivision. And we'll call these the advanced metronome settings. Now here they are. You can find all of these in the downloadable PDF, which you can find in the description. So for the DUPLE advanced metronome settings, the first one is every third eighth note, the second one is every third 16th note, and the third one is every fifth 16th note. And of course, there are now ternary advanced metronome settings. The first one is every fourth triplet, and the second one is every fifth triplet. So if you take a moment to analyze these advanced metronome settings, you'll find that each one is a cycle of either eighth notes or 16th notes. So our original pulse and the new pulse generated by the metronome has the same subdivision, but it's used in different ways. So for example, with every third eighth note, our original pulse is divided by 2 and our new pulse is divided by 3, but the common denominator is still the eighth note. So what this can do is it can give the illusion of a different tempo or time signature, which is essentially the beginnings of metric modulation. Now, metric modulation is a different video, but these advanced metronome settings are designed to help you play in one pulse or time signature while hearing or feeling another and seeing how they both relate to each other. So in order to gain an understanding of this new concept, we can apply it to something familiar, something that we've already done before. And we can use the same exercises in the last couple of videos to get acquainted with these new advanced metronome settings. So I'll demonstrate the DUPLE advanced metronome settings with our preliminary hand exercise that we did in the first video. So notice that I played that exercise with the metronome setting until I land back on beat 1, and that's because of how the advanced metronome settings cycle. Sometimes you won't play a 4-measure phrase or an 8-measure phrase. It might be a 3-measure phrase or 6-measure phrase in order to land back on beat 1 along with the metronome. So you might have to adjust the phrasing to make these exercises work. So we can also use the same exercises as we used in the composite rhythms video to the advanced metronome settings. Now, when we were dealing with composite rhythms, we were analyzing the rhythms that we were playing and how it related to the metronome. So how do we apply the idea of composite rhythms to the advanced metronome settings? Well, in some ways we can't, because the metronome is constantly shifting to other parts of the beat. And it would be really difficult to rationalize all the different composite rhythms that are going on if you're, say, playing each rhythm sequentially and then the metronome is doing all these other things. And then if you're playing the drum set and you're thinking about how the hi-hat relates and the snare drum relates, there's just a lot of things going on. But hopefully, since you've internalized all of the different composite rhythms while practicing using the basic metronome settings, we can just rely on the feeling of where the metronome is in relation to the pulse of the exercise. Hopefully that makes sense. So when you're playing these exercises, take a mental note of when the melodic voice aligns with the metronome. You'll find that happens every so often. So being conscious of this alignment will actually let you know if you're still playing accurately within the subdivision. So remember that the metronome is taking on a different role. It's almost another musician in our practice. And when we play music with other people, sometimes we're aligning with them and playing in unison with them, and sometimes we're against them, or we might not be playing in unison with them. So practicing these exercises with the advanced metronome settings will kind of train your ability to recognize when you're in unison with something and then when you're against it, but you're still playing together. So practice all of the same exercises that we've covered, both the snare drum and the drum set exercises, with the advanced metronome settings. Now in the downloadable PDF, which you can find in the description, there's kind of a summary of all of the exercises that we've covered just as a reference, but feel free to experiment and create your own exercises. So I'm going to demonstrate the rhythmic combinations on the snare drum along with the advanced metronome settings. Now take note of when the rhythmic combinations that I'm playing align with the metronome. So remember, if that's challenging, you can play all of the subdivisions and then play the rhythmic combinations as accents, kind of like an accent control exercise if you're having trouble conceptualizing the advanced metronome settings. Okay, so I'm back on the drum set, and let's play the same exercises that we did in the last video with the advanced metronome settings. Now with these melody exercises, whether you're playing them on the drum set or on the practice pad as we did earlier, it's even more imperative to spend time with each rhythm individually so that you can hear how the metronome kind of weaves in and out of the melodic rhythm that you're playing. And if you think about these advanced metronome settings, they're actually cycles that start on beat 1 and then goes through every possible subdivision within the beat before returning back to beat 1. So for example, if we take the advanced metronome setting that's every 5th 16th note, we'll find that it starts on beat 1, leaves some space, comes back in on the E, leaves some space, then the and, then the and then we'll return back to beat 1. So really, it's covering every part of the beat, it's just leaving more space in between it. So since you've explored all of the possible placements of the metronome within a beat using the basic metronome settings, the advanced metronome settings is the next logical step in this process, because each advanced metronome setting contains all of the subdivisions within a beat. Now, once you have the melodic exercises down with each rhythm individually, then it's time to move on to sequentially. And another reminder, you can find a recap of all of the exercises that we've covered in the downloadable PDF in the description below. All right, so here are just a few examples of some of the drum set ostinatos that we've covered so far. And remember to get creative, come up with your own ostinatos and groove variations, and have fun. Okay, so I hope that's given you an idea of how you can take these advanced metronome settings and apply them to all of the exercises that we've covered so far. And remember, start slow and gradually increase the tempo. It's important to feel really comfortable physically with these exercises before moving on to the next set of exercises. So in the next video, we're going to take a look at how we can use the advanced metronome settings to strengthen our coordination and our polyrhythmic independence. So I'll see you then.